My name is Jessica. I also go by Jessie Mama online, and
I am Jake, or I go by RPG Draco on Twitch.
this is the Cheeks and Geeks podcast.
We settled on Cheeks and Geeks finally, after some sad issues with the fact that other people used Scuffed Podcast as like their go-to. I think there's at least 3 different Scuffed.
Yeah, there's a couple Scuffed podcasts.
Yeah. So Cheeks and Geeks for us was kind of like, I thought of it.
No one's gonna be called that.
Yeah. I thought of the idea because, rhyming is so much fun. And then, like, we're a couple of dorks that play video games, play Minecraft specifically on Twitch. So it's like, it's just kind of fitting with the geeks. And then Jesse has a geek cheeks emote that I was just like, this is kind of like, we're both butt cheeks. So why not just go by that?
I have I don't know if I started it or my friend started it, but we started calling each other butt cheeks. As like a term of endearment, but also as like you're being an ass.
Yeah.
It does for everything. And so I've said it a lot on my stream, and it's just kind of been part of everyone's in the community's lingo now. And so that's kind of where the cheeks came from. And then everyone likes butts.
Oh my god. I wonder if Melody, could you like somehow voice us over and do the Cheeks and Geeks thing like together?
No, fuck you.
I was also wondering if we ever wanted to create some kind of like, because the podcast I used to listen to, I only listened to like 1 or 2 podcasts, but they would have people like write in like stories and stuff. I don't know if that's something, not stories, but like if we had like an email for this and people could like email us asking like questions, like mental health questions or like how we deal with certain things with streaming. I'm not saying we have to do it now, but it might be something to think about in the future.
Funny enough, hold on, let me finish writing this down and then okay, so I was talking to Brittany about it, or maybe somebody else, but the idea of us asking like a weekly question or like bi-weekly question about something pertaining to the topic that we just dealt with, right? Like or one of the few topics that we deal with. I think it's the same thing that you're just talking about, but like in a different way.
Yeah. So I put it for my like podcast like lineup. I said intro, check-in, week recap. I think check-in is more mental, and then week recap is more like what we were doing in what we did during our weeks or something like that. It's kind of like the same thing, but you know what I mean? Just hitting those points. And then any news. So all the 3 of those things are kind of the same, but I just kind of wanted to, like say that those are kind of the things we would be talking about during the check-in.
Right.
And then obviously our topics. And then at the end, I was going to say we could to wrap up, ask for suggestions, like not suggestions, but like any like feedback, obviously. And then that's when it's like we could ask our question is what I was saying.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
That's what I was saying. We could put that at the end.
I think that's good. That way, like, we can...
do we want to get into stories? I mean, we can. I feel like it's okay, as long as we're not naming names.
Yeah,
obviously.
I mean, names specifically are, like, something that we left out. Brittany brought up using, like, code names, in case we have specific people that we want to talk about, or we're just like... Oh, I don't like this person.
Yeah, it was funny listening to that first podcast and hearing some of the names. And also when Melody cut out and was just like, they talked about some streamer drama. I don't remember what drama we talked about.
I don't remember either, but I'm sure it was something silly. So it's been a whole year since our last recording. So this check-in is probably going to be... I'd say we should do like a weekly check-in like you said, but... for the past year it's gonna be a hard topic to cover. So like since our last podcast, what do you think like stands out to you, like a couple things for you specifically where you're like, this has affected me?
What's weird is that a lot of the things I was struggling with last year, I'm still struggling with. I feel like obviously a different streamer, different person in a lot of ways, but the way streaming affects me and my mental health is a lot different. And but I think because it's been a year and I've almost been streaming for 2 years now,
it became like your own, right? Like you're starting to feel like not more comfortable, but like
and
the
you're
word?
used to the ups and downs of it,
Yeah,
whereas before last year it was more fresh that I was dealing with it, and I was already starting to process it and understand it, but now it's been another whole year of ups and downs, and so I'm even more accustomed to it, and that's how it is with mental health. I mean, that's just life, you know what I mean? And so learning how to
not be an anxious mess or anything.
yeah, and just and ride the lows and know that they're not going to last forever. And so with streaming, I mean, I'm actually in like a little bit like a dip right now, but it could be going up, but that's all like numbers, which doesn't really equate to much, you know what I mean? It's not something that we can
you don't have great control over them.
Yeah, you don't have great control over it. And but just to say, because I think it, as much as you don't want to fixate on it, it does need to be said, because it is part of it. It's not,
absolutely. You're not gonna focus,
you shouldn't focus on it too much, and we shouldn't put all of our worth on it. But it is, you can't completely ignore it, which is what something I try to do sometimes, and I don't think I've tested it, and I think it's better for me to just face it than just completely ignore it.
Oh yeah,
because I think the unknown was just too much.
And too many like variables to be able to like
yeah,
truly not face the unknown, because you could look at it any day, and like depending on your mental health it's going to be negative or positive. So like facing it every day lets you go, all right, well, like the negative aspect of this is quicker to deal with than
and just like facing it, I guess, and just saying good or bad, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than saying, I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist. But sometimes you have to do that. And I don't think that's a bad thing either.
No, not at all.
Especially if you're like, but
if you're having a bad day, you don't want to look at those numbers and be like, reinforce that bad day.
Maybe you could look the next tomorrow, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But something I came into a realization with a few days ago was that because I was like, I had a great stream. It was Friday night. I had a great stream, had a lot of fun, and then after, I just started having these negative thoughts, thinking I did bad and I didn't do a good job and it was a bad stream. And then I just asked myself, would I have done something different? Like, is there something I could have done different to be a better streamer or to make it a better stream? And there wasn't.
No. Those are just intrusive thoughts, I feel.
Exactly. And so just being able to combat those intrusive thoughts, and I've been having a lot of those intrusive thoughts as of late. And sometimes I just say you're wrong or it's wrong. Don't fixate. And that's good too. But I think asking that question, really, it was an eye opener for me. And I think it's important to do that with your negative thoughts is to question them. Even if you are a bad streamer, let's say, or even if you did do a bad job, does it really help to fixate on that? No. All you can do is try to be better the next day, or try to be better. That's all you can do.
I feel as though like when it comes to the numbers and stuff like that, a lot of us like put a lot of weight onto it when there are going to be ups and downs, like you said, and you can see that. The best way I feel like when you're coming to looking at your numbers, look at how other people are doing. Sometimes not compare yourself, but like compare their own numbers. Like, oh, this person usually has a much higher number than they're doing. So like the fact that I'm lower only just means that like the general public isn't consuming content right now. They're going out because right now is spring and stuff like that. They have spring break. I mean, there's so many variables outside of what we're dealing with, right?
For sure. And I do that as well. It's good to do that, but I think at the end of the day, it's just kind of your own head that you're trying to, because I do that too, but I think there's just gotta become a form of acceptance that you're gonna have negative thoughts sometimes. That's something that also that I was dealing with this last year was jealousy and comparing, and this idea of like, oh, they like this streamer more than me or that, and it's just such like toxic thinking. And and then I would get mad that I even thought like that. But then I talked to somebody in the community. I won't name drop, but they're a friend, and they kind of made me realize that it's okay to feel that, don't put yourself down for having those thoughts.
Being jealous is natural.
Recognize that they're not healthy, obviously, but I think we get these like negative thoughts, and then you put yourself down for them, and it's spiraling, you know,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and negativity. So it's better to just say, okay, I'm being a butt cheek right now.
Yep.
I'm thinking like my brain's being a butt cheek right now, and you know, and I think that's stuff that I'm dealing with. And I don't feel like that anymore. I feel I have a very healthy mindset with that idea. But you know, talking about the last year, that is one thing that I think I had to deal with, was some of those thoughts. I don't know. It's hard to recap a whole year, but
yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is for me for the past year. I mean, I don't know. It's taken me a struggle to gain confidence as a streamer and just as a human being. And the more I progress as a streamer, the less I have like room for doubt, self-doubt, and I've had a lot of people just continuously tell me, like, dude, I don't know how you don't have confidence and you're doing as well as you are. Like, it's important to like accept that you're upcoming is because you're doing great, and be willing to, you know, take advantage of those. And I feel like I've been kind of slacking in some of them, but more recently I've been really like, you know, playing ball where I'm forcing it and continuing to have that, even if it's false bravado, I have that confidence still, right? And forcing it is it's felt really good. Even just being able to talk to people and feel like some people want to talk to me and stuff like that, and how it just it takes a different mindset for me.
It's a fake it till you make it thing. It really is.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I've had to learn that from my community, which is one of the first things I think my community has taught me versus me teaching my community. So it's really nice to be able to rely on that. Like, even if it's a parasocial relationship, it's still nice to be able to rely on that in a sense.
Yeah, I think I've seen you grow in confidence and feeling more comfortable. But I've always thought you were very entertaining and a great streamer. So obviously, you know, I stuck around for a reason. I know I hate watch you.
Same.
But I think that's I feel bad, not feel bad, but I feel like I just talked about like the negatives in the last year when there were really great like positives. And
oh yeah,
and that's
it's what stands out though, right? That's what matters.
Yeah,
right?
we're always gonna fixate on the negativity, but I do want to just say that and I think, I don't know if I talked about this in the last podcast. It was a year ago, but I know I just listened to it. But
it's okay.
Something that I try to remind myself of is like success and what that means to me. And if I really think about it, I think I already am successful. I think that I have just a really great, sweet, wholesome community. I know there's a lot of susness as well, but I think that everyone just cares for each other. I don't even have to be there. It's like it's beautiful to watch.
Oh yeah,
Just how much love pours out from each other. And yes, some of it's parasocial. Not everyone, you know, maybe love thrown around, you know, free more than it should be. But at the same time, I don't think that's a bad thing
no,
to
not at all.
to spread that, you know, because even if you don't really know this person that well, being able to say, I love ya, you know, I love having you around, and just the excitement and the love that my community has for each other.
As long as
It
you're not
really
like
just
lying, I feel
yeah,
like lying
yeah.
is lying is a hard word, but you know, as long as you're not
Yeah.
like trying to send a message and just be that attachment type of thing and force them to
Yeah.
attach to you. If it's
Yeah,
true, like
exactly.
you're
Yeah,
great to have
it's
around, then
true.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I don't think that anyone's being dishonest, but I know that some people might view that kind of behavior as not real. You know, some people
Yep.
would maybe say that, but
But
you
they're
know,
probably not part
I
of the
think that's
community.
exactly. And that's like that's kind of just a negative mindset. And it's like, what of it? If it's just making somebody's day better and someone, you know, have a little bit more of a positive outlook, is it really not, it's not really hurting much. So at the end of the day, I just don't think it's worth making that
Oh,
critique
definitely,
unless
yeah.
someone's being hurt, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why I got into that weird train of thought.
You're
but
fine. You wanted to have some
but
positive feedback on there, and I get that after what I said, because there are negatives to focus on for like how I felt.
uh,
The confidence issue that I have is like I struggle with it, and I'm just
mhm,
leaning
mhm,
into it. And there's a lot of negativity when it comes to that. So I mean, the fact that there's a positive has been my main focus.
mhm.
We could talk
Yeah,
about numbers and other stuff all day, but I feel like even if like I'm growing or not growing, it's I've had a great time, right? That's what's
yeah.
important.
And and I don't know about you, and this is gonna kind of get into our topic, so we can talk about it more later.
Hmm.
But I know I have helped people. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And not that I'm a therapist or anything, but I know that I've made a difference and been able to be there for friends, you know, and I'll get DMs from people in the community and they'll ask for advice and it makes me so sad because they'll be like, "I'm sorry to bother you."
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when you know it's like more of a legitimate person that is asking for help, not
Right,
someone
right.
who
Who's just like
we'll talk
DMing
about
you
this
and
more
asking.
later, but if
Yeah,
you're attention seeking,
yeah.
is when you feel bad for even asking, because that's sometimes me, like 'cause I rely on people as well, in my community
Oh,
for
totally.
support and help, and I always feel bad. And I'm always like, "Oh, no, they're gonna think I just want attention all the time," and I feel like I worry about that, and so it's when someone's, like, worrying about that, then you know that they're not attention
To a
seeking,
point. I
you
mean,
know?
some people can be self-aware with stuff like that, but yes,
Yeah.
for the most part, there is a genuineness being behind the "I'm so sorry to
Mhm.
bother you. Do you think you could answer,
Mhm.
like, help me with XYZ
Uh-huh.
or something?" You
Or
know?
or just, like, the way they go about it,
Yep,
because
yep, yep.
they'll usually just say, like, "I really like, I don't mean to bother you," or, it's just kind of a genuine, it just makes it almost hurts my heart a little bit that they think that they're a bother reaching out to me, but yeah, I'm just glad that people feel safe to talk to me,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that I'm happy about streaming, and I think that's something new. I've had that probably since I started streaming. I've tried to create that space, but I'm just happy that I have.
Oh, yeah, totally. Um,
Mhm.
we can just do a little mental health check-in for the past week rather than doing the past year, because I
Yeah.
don't think that's gonna be coverable, but
Yeah, that was kind of a lot, but that was just kind of like where our head's been, and then
yeah,
well, the ring
you're fine,
recap.
you're fine.
I didn't know how much we wanted to talk about like
We can do a
our
short little check-in
streams and
d
like
if you
podcast.
want to,
I mean,
yeah.
our streams in Minecraft and stuff. I guess yeah. I mean, like anything big that happened or that's gonna happen. It's kind of how news is tied together.
The past week, I've been thinking about doing more positive affirmation stuff with. I have a therapist I've been talking to recently.
Mhm.
She's been super helpful with just thoughts that come to my head, and I talk about things, and she like kind of
Mhm.
reinforces that behavior, like the positive affirmation, because I'm a person who doesn't like writing stuff down. I'm definitely one of the few that like if it's off the top of my head, or it's
Mhm.
nothing. I hate writing ideas down. Even following our prompt here is kind of like it's fine for me, but it's hard for me to lean into certain things where I'm just like, yeah, I'll think about a whole year of thought process talking stuff, and it's not possible for me. So when it comes to talking about positive affirmation, it's just kind of what comes out the top of my head. But she gave me a couple things like these cue cards that are good for positive affirmation. I think there's a website too that she talked about, but like that's been my thought process. And then obviously my anniversary with Brittany, which we've been together for 11 years, is incredible to me, and
Mhm.
I'm so thankful for having such an amazing wife who has been supportive, not alone in just the podcast, or not
Mhm.
podcast streaming, but supportive in everything. So
Yeah, that's
and
exciting.
yeah, that's been what's on my thought. I mean, I've had some negative thoughts. Like I've had people come in and ask me like, "Die in hardcore, I'll give you blah blah blah," and I think that's pretty recent, normal. That's pretty normal troll like attitude, but
Uh,
kind of struck a nerve in a sense, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and this is a video game, not IRL. I probably should
yeah.
have worded that better, but
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's that's the thing is that things could just that's why I think I got so bothered yesterday about that one comment, is because of I think I talked about it in your stream about the clips I found of myself. So
Yep.
I think it's just that's always on my mind,
On the
you know, but I
forefront,
think it definitely, like, it's hard. It's hard being a woman.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to get into this fully, obviously, but it's always going to be a struggle. It never is going to stop. And so, if you want to know, I'll just say briefly, I found some clips of me exercising on stream, from 8 months ago. But it was weird because it was like 4 of the same clip by different people on different days. So
there's
people were
no
like going
context,
back.
right?
People were going back into the VOD. I don't know who these people were. And recording me doing squats, and nothing was exposed or anything, but I was wearing like short shorts and a tank top, and even now when I do squats, I pan the camera so you can't see my bottom half. So it's something that obviously over time I realized was a bit much, but it was just a human body.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know what I mean? I wasn't whatever. But anyways,
you weren't doing anything that would warrant,
it doesn't elicit it
behavior
anyways.
like that.
It doesn't elicit anyways. I'm not trying to make excuses for them, obviously. But now I'm just not going to exercise anymore. I'm just not comfortable. I don't think I could do it anymore. Even if I'm hiding myself, I just would rather not. But
Right.
But yeah, so then I got a weird comment from somebody being gross yesterday too. And so, you know what I mean? It's hard when all those things are, you know, sometimes you can roll it off, and then sometimes it just strikes a nerve. And so,
especially because it's like on the forefront of your mind. I mean, that's why the trolls recently have been bothering me a lot, is because this is probably my first like real long-term world, so that's why.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the farther you get in, the more like real it feels, you know.
Yeah,
and the bigger and
exactly.
more projects and stuff, and like that's the to talk about Minecraft. I'm, you know, I just hit 5,000 days, and I want to do a YouTube video, but I want to try to finish my project right now. So I'm kind of stressing about that, and deciding if I should just make the video without finishing it, but I want to finish it. So it's just, how long is it going to take? So that's something that I'm
6,000 days are fine for recording. I mean, it's not going to hurt.
Yeah, it is, but I promise 5,000. I just don't know if I even care about the fact that it's going to be like, let's say it's 5,500 days. Like, does it really matter? I don't think it does. I haven't made one ever. So
as long as you make the video,
I'm just not,
I think that's all
exactly.
that matters.
I don't think I'm going to stress about it, and just, you know, I call it whatever I want. It's more going to be just like a world recap, if anything. Not just about my builds. It's not like just a world tour. It's going to also tell, you know,
lore
all the things that
you've come up with, and the ideas behind things.
I might dip into lore. I might make a separate video for that though.
Right.
But just kind of like, you know, when I did all the advancements, and I have a lot of ideas in my head of what I want to do, and I'm excited, scared but excited. But this week, you know, because I'm just coming off 5,000 days last week or the week before, you know, so this week has been me trying to figure out, you know. So that's been in my head, but it's been good. It's I think I'm getting through it, and I'll be fine.
It's a good thing. It's overwhelming but good, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's kind of my week, I would say. So this, as it pertains to streaming, at least. Personal life, I mean, it's, I don't know, nothing of note. I don't want to talk about my job.
The only thing that I can remember recently is you got a new work laptop, I think, so it's less.
Yeah, well, and I might be working partially remote finally, so that'll actually help with podcasts if we ever are able to do it. If we can't do it on the weekend, we might be able to do it during the week.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm not available. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, I know you said that you can't really, but I'm just saying
there's still possibility.
It does open up a little bit more, you know, time. Because right now it's basically 0 time during the week.
Right, definitely.
But yeah, I think that's good. And then any news? I mean, you're almost to 5,000 followers.
Yep.
So another exciting thing.
I didn't talk about anything IRL. For the newer podcast listeners, I have a daughter. She's late 3, almost 4 right now, and she literally just learned how to potty train, and it is probably the best experience of our life because we don't have to change her diaper anymore. So.
Oh my gosh.
And she yells at us all the time if she has to use the bathroom. So she'll just be like, "I have to use the bathroom," and then just like start
Oh my
running to the
gosh.
bathroom. It's cute, but like it's exactly
Oh,
how you think of it. So yeah, that's my IRL stuff. I'm still waiting to start my last semester of college. It should be soon,
yeah.
I think, in May. So
Mhm.
that's a little heartbeat racing kind of thing, but
Yeah, that's exciting though.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think anything. I mean, I'm usually the one with all the special things going on, but I was just thinking about that yesterday. I'm like, okay, I'm finally not, trying to hit all these milestones and goals
Hmm.
because it was like a year was celebrated, and then 1,000 hours, and then 5,000 days, and
Yeah.
now I can kind of, and it was fun and it's exciting, and I think it's good for the content, obviously, but it's pressure, But I am
Oh
going to
yeah.
be on my year, or yeah, my year streaming anniversary in June, which I know is like I'm almost a little less than 2 months away, but still, I am probably going to do a charity stream. So even though
Oh,
it's
I
a
totally
ways
forgot
away,
about mine. Mine's in 3 days, and I just totally blanked that. It's gonna be 2 years.
hey, honestly, you could do like 5,000 followers plus that celebration. You know what I mean? Just lump
Yeah.
it together. That's what I did for my birthday, right? It was like
Right.
5,000 days and my birthday. So, um,
Oh man, that's
but two
funny.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm probably gonna do like a 16-hour charity stream. So I know it's ways away, but I'm starting to plan that out and what I want to do. So
Yeah.
that's kind of news, I guess. I guess we can get into the topics. I can still go for like 45 more minutes.
I had to cut like 20 minutes so you weren't getting into the actual topics like halfway into the podcast, you absolute schmucks.
Do you want to start talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah, I think
Specifically.
so, because I think trauma dumping is gonna be part of that.
Yeah.
So I think that could just be like a section in that overall
Definitely. Yeah.
topic, you know?
Um,
Um,
Covering a year's worth of stuff that I've done for mental health is gonna be tough, but we can start
but
with the bad,
it
then go
doesn't have
into
to
the
be
good,
like
then the ugly, right?
necessarily have
Maybe.
to be like a summary, but more just like highlights. I was able to find a better balance before you with mental health, being a mental health
Mm-hmm.
streamer.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got a little bit, not jealous, jealous isn't the right word, but a little bit, jealous is like a negative form of it, but like I admired when you like dove really into it, but then it ended up screwing you over,
Oh,
which
dude,
isn't
it
like,
fucked me up mentally. Like,
I'm not laughing at you and like, and I'm not like, oh, look what happened. I don't mean it in any kind of way.
no,
I
no,
meant more
yeah.
of just like, just that's just how it goes. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, like I wish I would have dove into it, and then and I was like, okay, well maybe it
Oh
was a
yeah.
good
Oh
thing
yeah.
that I didn't, and
It's a
because then
learning
it
process for
was,
sure.
I guess it made me think like, am I not doing enough? You know what I mean? And then I think what you went through made me realize, okay, I think what I am doing is enough. Because I think if you do get too into it,
I think the
yeah,
thought process of doing enough is kind of a hard like sell, because I'm one of those people that don't think we always have perfection, right? So like leaning
mm-hmm,
into it too much is bad, but not leaning into it is not bad. So you always want to
mm-hmm,
try and continue the balancing act. I mean, when I was doing
yeah,
check-ins and stuff like that, and like truly, like before I even got overwhelmed, I felt like when I started stream, I was like, the energy feels drained for me just doing a mental health check-in. And this is
mm-hmm,
probably like half a year ago, but still, when I did that, I just felt like I wasn't
mm-hmm,
giving my all into stream. I gave my all into
yeah,
this first start of the stream, and then I was just like, well, now I stream. Next 6 hours
yeah.
didn't feel like they dragged on, but it felt like I had less energy, if that makes sense.
Well, and I think you like were putting the weight of everyone else on you, and I think that's because we're both empathetic people.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that doing that, it it was too close to like therapy, and we're not therapists, so we can't
Hmm.
be, that's why we can't dive too much into it. We can only, there's a line that we have to hold. Um and I want to be there for people, but I don't have all the answers really. The most I can do in some situations when people come with me for advice, and if it's something that I've been through, I can give more. But there's a lot of topics and issues people go through where I don't know what to say. Like I have no clue how to help you. And it's hard because you want to help people, but
there's a fine line being able to invest
not,
into viewers and
not
stuff.
Not only are you not like capable like with knowledge, but you're also like your own person with your own emotional struggles. So there's only so much you can do in that. And so what I've tried to do is just to create a space where people feel safe to talk. I'm not going to solve all their problems, but I could just tell them, you know, I'm listening to you, you know, I'm here for you, you know, that you, if it's serious enough, you know, you should get help. And these are the resources where you can get help. It's I think keeping it to Discord has been a good thing when you can.
Yep.
Because stream, especially with heavy topics, it's just not the place. But I don't mind talking about mental health on stream, but it can't be like there's certain things that are triggering to people, and you have to keep that away because you got to protect everybody. And that's one thing that we've learned. As well as that, and not that we didn't know this already, but a big.
I think it like there's a difference between knowing and feeling or experiencing
with the situation. Experiencing exactly.
Because like you could always go, yeah, like trauma dumps are bad, and never like actually experience it. And then somebody actually comes in and they're like, yeah, I'm feeling like shit. Like, I guess I should say like a little bit of a trigger warning. But like I'm feeling shit. Like my uncle passed away, and now I'm just kind of feeling like, you know, depressed and not so happy in the point of where I don't want to live anymore. It's just like when somebody comes in and says that to you out of the blue in a stream, it kind of like you're in a good mood or a bad mood. Like that's gonna affect you a lot versus.
Yeah. I do think that, at least for me, and I don't want to, and I think other streamers can make the decision themselves on what they want to do when it comes to trauma dumping, but I don't mind some sad things. Like if you just stopped it as my uncle passed away and I'm sad, that wouldn't really bother me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've seen other streamers like delete that and not allow that in their stream. And that's fine. They're creating their space for themselves. But that's not something that I like. When I think of trauma dumping, that's sometimes what I don't like when streamers are like,
exactly.
No, trauma dumping, it's bad. It's like
there's a fine line.
There's different kinds of trauma. There's different kinds of the way you go about it, and obviously, like we said, like triggering topics, I think can't be there because you could hurt somebody else and trigger someone else.
Yep.
Which we've had happen as well. And but I think that like there has to be a space for a little bit of negativity, not negativity in like a toxic way, but just sometimes things aren't going to be happy all the time.
Someone's not feeling great. Yeah.
And I think they should be allowed to, at least in my space. I'm not going to speak for other people.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, for other people, when you're a content creator, your content is based on who you are. So if you're a positive, upbeat streamer and somebody comes in and trying to trauma dump, it totally makes sense that you're going to be like, look, like I know you have issues, but this is the space for that. Like we're having a good time. Like, but for us specifically, I have my Discord open. Jessie has her Discord open. And that's one of our big places where like mental health is a big deal for us. And streaming wise, I feel like both of us have our chats. Like we're willing to hear people out and be like, oh, I'm feeling bad. Like my job sucks, but like anything like crazy in-depth stuff would be like, I mean, any streamer would probably end up having to delete that at some point.
Yeah, but I just mean like I've seen someone delete like my grandpa died.
Yeah,
like just that, and I was like, okay, like interesting. And
well,
like
depending on the context too, because you could have like a brand new viewer come in and say that, and I feel like that's
for sure.
Yeah,
and I don't know the whole story. I just know like I see so much on Twitter about like, oh, trauma dumping, don't trauma dump, and I see so much about that, and I'm like, I guess I just don't like being so what's the word, like it's so nuanced, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so when it's like actual trauma, yes, but I think that I
think a lot of people are sensitive to the word trauma and use that for a lot of things, right?
Exactly. I think it's over. I think it's not all trauma that people are dumping that they talk about when they say no trauma dumping. It's like any form of like almost like negativity. And I just don't agree with that. And I think that, and that's okay that they feel that way, but I just don't like, okay, this is what I'm trying to get at. I'm worried that if people see that, like, as a viewer or as a human being, they're gonna think I don't have a safe place in streamers. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and so I wish it wasn't such a, like,
I
people
think it's
trying to spread
important
that
to
it was a
pertain that like we have the mental health tag.
uh-huh.
Other streamers
Yeah,
don't.
exactly.
So those that don't, like, if you're going in there and saying stuff like that, like we're all human. Our viewers are human. We're human. So if you're going into somebody's stream and saying that, and they delete your message, you have to understand that you're not the problem. Or, well, I guess you kind of are, but like
it's just the space.
Yeah, you're in the wrong space to say something like that.
And that's okay. I guess I just worry when I see these things on these threads on Twitter, like anti-trauma dumping, that I feel for the people who, because if you're really hurting, sometimes you don't think anyone's gonna care, and so I just feel like seeing that reinforces that in your head of like, oh, like I shouldn't be saying this because I'm not allowed or no one's gonna care. You know what I mean? I think that's where I come from it, and I see the streamer side, and I think it's fair, but I also come from
I totally get what you're saying.
That are, do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah, and
I think like the way you're seeing it is like people see Twitch as a safe space, and I think a lot of like the stigma behind like social media in general should, like, I say stigma, but like there is a truth behind that. There are going to be people out there that you say they delete their message, but like think about it, if somebody replies to that message, it'd be like, oh well, I hate to say it like this, but like your grandpa or your uncle's better off dead or something like that. Like,
yeah,
that invites worse response than stuff like that, because it's social media. Social media is full of a lot of bad apples, right?
Yeah, and I don't care that streamer deleted that.
Yeah.
It's more, I just don't see myself being that type of streamer.
Yeah, you feel for
and
it.
So when I
get
say people, when I hear people saying don't ever trauma dump or don't ever, I'm like, don't speak for me. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm more nuanced on it.
Don't speak for every streamer.
Don't come in and say, I don't want someone coming in and saying they're gonna, like triggering topics. I'm not gonna say them because I don't want to trigger anybody. Hurt themselves or or bad things happen to them that are triggering, which I've had that too. But that's obviously trauma that I don't think is okay, just because it could hurt other people. I don't mind, like, I've always been the kind of person that I can kind of take it to an extent, but it's other people I'm worried about.
Oh yeah. I think what's crazy is, like, so we're talking about ourselves here, but a really, really big part of this is that the mental health check-in might have affected me a lot, but I have friends that, like, your moderators are basically like your second word, so a lot of them feel as though like they have to listen to people, or they have to like make sure people are doing okay, or they themselves are empathetic and try to make sure that people are doing okay. And I've had 3 different friends that were completely affected by certain things, and like went out of their way for certain people, and then ended up like getting hurt a lot more because I was willing to not bite the bullet sooner than later, because I wanted both parties to be happy. I care about my mods, I care about my community, but sometimes the trauma dumping aspect is there has to be a fine line. And
yeah, and there is a lot of bad and ugly to it, but I think, like I said, it's nuance. It's not, I just don't like the fine lines that people, or like the ultimatum. I don't know the word.
Like the broader terms that they have for trauma dumping.
Terms,
because like trauma is like my uncle died. That's not trauma. That's
just something bad happened. I think there's like, but I think some people think it's like that. Like any kind of bad thing that happened to you is like trauma, and it's like, no, like, I think it's okay if someone wants to tell me they had a bad day, or,
oh dude, I stubbed my toe,
or they're feeling sad.
Delete it.
Trauma. I don't want any negativity, and I don't want anyone to think that it's bad for a streamer to be like that. It's not. They have to protect themselves too, and some people can't. Like I said, I think I'm a kind of person that's able to hear these things and not let it bring me down. Usually, I'm actually usually able to twist it and try to make people feel positive. sometimes. Obviously, there's some things you can't.
Right,
but
yeah. I was gonna
just
say
to try
like
to like.
you've had a couple moments. I think well, one or maybe two moments in the past week where you've let a single viewer affect you, and like so we're not invincible ourselves, but yeah, you're right
But I
in
see
the
when it
sense of
comes to like mental health, I think is what I mean in that strain. Isn't when someone tells me, and like, or I don't mind being affected. Maybe might be the better
yeah,
word.
that's
Not
a
that
better way
I'm
to
not
say it. Yeah.
affected, because I am affected, but just that it doesn't. I don't spiral usually with it, and
Yeah.
I don't mind. Like, just to summarize it all, that's just kind of what. Even though there's bad and ugly, and I don't think that that's the bad and ugly is people having bad days.
I
You know
think
what I mean?
I think
At
it's
least
more
for me.
bad than ugly, right? Because ugly
Yeah,
is
exactly. It's the
leading
line
into
and the.
yeah. I think so before we get into like actual ugly topics, I think we should lean into good, so we have a little bit of good
Yeah,
there.
in between the two.
Yeah, exactly. So with good, we've had several community members like come into our communities and talk about stuff, and I have two good examples in mind that I truly think about, not every day, but you know, I check into my mental health stuff, and I see like them commenting there, stuff like that, and they 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 make an honest effort and they do their best, and then they lean into like trying to help the community. So it's like they were hurt, and then they lean into it, and after being hurt, they like are trying to make the world better because they found a safe place. And I think mine and your community are both like safe places that can inherit that love, right? And channel it into something more positive and continue to grow for community members. Mental health has always been a tough subject for me. I've had to go through therapy, several different therapists, and I literally took year breaks in between. So the fact that I'm able to open up a safe space for people and have them being able to not trauma dump, but you know, come in and be like, "Oh, I'm having a bad day," and I'm like, "Well, I'm here for you. Content's here for you, and chat's here for you." Like, hopefully, one of these things can help you, right? I mean, even just like other content creators, I feel as though like I've been able to lean on to where they've been able to lean on me.
Yeah.
So it feels nice to be able to just
Yeah.
have that sense of mental health, and like even if I'm not super focused on it on stream, it's there and people know that it's there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll have people like I've had a couple times where people I didn't even really know I helped them. Like they didn't even talk in the mental health section and don't even talk that much during the stream, but they'll be like, "Can I DM you?" I'm always worried. But you know, I'm like, okay, let's just test it out. I usually will, unless I already am like, okay, I know this person enough to not let them DM me. But if I don't know, I'll just let them and I'll see, and I'll get like this sweet message of just how much I've helped them with their mental health and all these nice things, and that's the good, is that just knowing that you can make a difference, and yeah, you're not going to be able to solve anyone's problems, but to be able to just at least help a little bit and to create a space where they can get support from other
Right.
people. I'm very happy, and you were talking about your mods earlier, and that's one of the things that makes me choose my mods actually, is people who are supportive of other people in my mental health
Yeah,
section in my Discord.
exactly.
Not that they have to be, and I never would want to put that pressure on them, but if I see that you're doing that, then I know that you're kind of in similar values than me, you know,
Yeah.
and that you care. And I think that being a moderator is caring for your community. It's people who care for the community and care for the streamer, obviously.
Ensuring that both are safe from
Yeah, ensuring that both are safe, exactly. So just to be able to, and I talked about this earlier when I was saying the goods, and just seeing all the support that is given between each other. It's just, that's definitely the good thing, is to be able to do that for others. And for myself, I get a lot of help. I've made, I lean on a lot of people. And so I think that's the good, and I think it outweighs the bad. What I always say, and this is kind of nice bridge to the ugly, unless we want to focus on more good, is that
no, you're good. Go ahead.
Even if, and I was just talking to someone about this the other day. I'm trying not to say names just to be safe, but
Right.
even if and I've always felt like this, even if out of 100 people, 99 people are lying to me and I help one person, I would still try to help everybody. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's like,
absolutely.
And I don't think that's the case. That's an extreme, statistic, but I always want to lead with positivity and believing the best. And obviously we got to be careful with that, but I don't think it's I don't want other people's bad behavior to hurt others who are genuine.
Right. I think even if people are lying to you, there is a sense of being able to help them, even if they're lying, they clearly want help in some sense. So being positive and being like, kind to them, can change that like issue that they have, because they expect like you to call them out on it, and they expect everything. So if you give them love, sometimes people change, and like that's what you want to do as a human being, is you want to give people opportunities. You don't want to take the second chances away from them. Everybody has a second chance. And I'm willing to like give you that second chance. You just have to be willing to, take it and change. And I think love is important there, and growth is important there. So if you don't plan on doing that, like you're just a troll. I mean, okay, but they're even the 99, the 100 people, the 99 are lying and the one is telling the truth. Like out of those 99, I'm sure there's probably 2 or 3 that are affected by you also in a good way.
The people who are lying, like there's obviously something wrong with you.
Right.
If you think it's okay to lie, there's obviously something mentally not all right. Even if, no matter what the reasoning is behind you wanting to lie about mental health, and there's so many different reasons. It's just when it does come into the lying, which is obviously the ugly, it's it's not really much we can do once we find out someone's lying, because once you break that trust, sadly there's not anything you can really do, especially with an online format. Even real life, it's hard. Even if you know someone in real life, it's hard. But
I mean, I have personal experience from that, like literally recently with that, and it was one of my closest friends. So something like, just to take it away from streaming specifically, like if you think dealing with it like over the internet, I think over the internet is less you're less emotionally invested, because over the internet I could be lying, right? Like that's pretty much the end of the day thing. But IRL, somebody, you hang out with them. I lived with this person for like 3-4 months, and what I found out about them and everything like that just ended up making me like kind of like depressed and spiral for a while. So being able to be that type of person and kind of like manipulate, in a sense, those around you into either having feelings and caring about you, or just generally like not being who you are and not telling the truth. Like everybody lies, I'm sure, but there's a difference between lying and then just completely changing who you are.
Yeah.
For attention, right? It's the big deal.
And I think it also goes into like when it starts affecting others, because for me, and me wanting to help others, even if I know they're lying, maybe if it was just a vacuum and it was just me and that person, I wouldn't mind, trying to be that hand. But then it's like, if other people are being tricked by them and manipulated, and that's when it just has to stop, because you have to look at the community as a whole and not just that one person. And it's sad, because there's, like we said, there's something obviously off, and I wish I could create that space for them. But when you're starting to hurt others, I can't. You know what I mean?
We can't control. We can't let it get out of control and continue to affect others.
I know we've had some things happen like fresh, but I don't even know if this happened before our last podcast. But I had somebody who completely lied about I don't know if I should
think
get
it was
into
before
it.
it. I think it was before
I
it.
think it was, but we just didn't talk about it on the
Yeah.
podcast, but because we weren't really talking about this kind of stuff. But
Weird, more weird. Hi,
but yeah, I
we're
had someone like
Jesse and Draco.
yeah, but I had someone lie about like pregnancy, and like the stories just started getting crazier and crazier, and it was kind of like funny.
And
in a
they
little
sent
bit.
pictures, right? I think of like
There
I
was
think it was like a
pictures, and
sonogram or something like that.
I wanted to believe. Like I actually was sold. And then my cousin who streams, and her and I used to share the Discord, and she was already kind of not streaming as much, but she was still active. She was like, I don't believe this, and I was like, no, I think she's being honest. And then she like did a Google search of newborn babies and found the picture that this person posted on my Discord, and so it was just like she was exposed, and I was like, well, if I call her out, it's just gonna, feed into this, and so I was just gonna, kind of just not give them attention and just see if they left. But then I just realized that when they didn't get it from me, they started trying to get it from other people, and so I didn't even take care of it. I had one of my moderators kind of
deal with
Discord
the scenario.
Deal with it, and because there was a fixation on me, there was an obsession with me, and so it was best if I just cut them off.
Yeah.
And they came up with this wild story that it was the social experiment to see if streamers care. I don't know, it was just so bizarre. And so after that happened, I got a little jaded being a mental health streamer because that got really ugly. Just because I was just lied to for like weeks.
Yeah, and it was like continuous, and they kept
it was like
piling it, right?
This, I don't like using this word, but it was like sociopath behavior, which I've learned isn't even a thing. They're different disorders. That's a more criminal word. Sociopath and psychopath, they're not actual psychological terms.
Right, yeah.
But
it's just
some kind of disorder where you didn't really you were able to compulsively lie and not care and I don't know, whatever. It was a while ago, but that was like I think the first big thing I dealt with when it came to lying and the ugly, and I almost was like, screw this, I'm not going to create this space for people. And I think you're the one that actually told me, no, don't let this one person like ruin who you are.
Absolutely.
And I realized that's so true, but I was just so heated, I think, at the time that I had been.
It's your first experience too.
She just kept trying to lie. She just kept trying to lie, and it was just wild. And then and the moderator who I had talking to her was like, starting to, because then of course when she got called out, she started saying she was going to trigger warning, self-harm, and so it just got so out of hand, and we even think that they showed up under another account later. We're not really sure, but it was just really eye-opening.
It's scary. Yeah.
I don't
that's not even
like
mental health aspect.
Yeah.
That's like obsessive fan aspect.
Oh yeah, it was. But it came out
it
of
falls
creating
under
the
mental
space.
health. Yeah.
It came out of creating the space too. I don't think I changed how I am as a streamer from that, but I'm definitely more aware that people could be lying, and I think before that, I don't think I really, like, obviously as a human being I knew that was possible, but I don't think I really, because I hadn't really experienced it in the streaming space, I didn't think about it, and I didn't consider it, and I was being trusting, and not that I still don't trust people, but I have a little bit less doubt when things start getting a little bit wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think us as streamers, like me and you specifically, we're a bit more jaded than like our community. Because I mean, even if we're not like the forefront of things, like the specific two people that I have in mind recently, that have caused issues, they've affected my mods more, and my thought process after a certain point was just like, well, the first one that I'm thinking of, I was just like, get rid of them and be done, because I don't want to deal with it. And the fact that I was so willing to like listen to my mod team, I mean, obviously you want to listen to your mod team, but I think there's a certain level of like just taking authority as a streamer and knowing like what the limits are as a mental health streamer. for you and your team are, because it wasn't just affecting one of my mods. It was affecting three of them specifically. So it was just like, I don't know what to do. I didn't know
then
what
they
to
started
do.
affecting one of mine, and that's when I finally, because I at first was a little bit more lenient, and then when they started affecting one of mine, that's when I got on your team and was like, I'm done with this.
It's hard. Like, I hate to use this word, but like they seemed parasitic and willing to like attach to whoever would listen, and then continue to advance these lies to a certain point where they just wanted more attention. And I felt bad for my community because they were willing to buy into it. And like, I'm not saying I didn't buy into it as much, but there was a certain point where I kind of just, I mean, for lack of a better term, I didn't give a fuck about what they were saying. And I felt bad because jaded, there's a certain level of jaded, and I don't want to be the type of person that's willing to, or I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I was right all along, so ha 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 or whatever. But I don't want to say but, because that's the wrong way to say that. But like, I felt as though like after we found out and everything like that, it hurt me more because I wanted to be wrong. I wanted to give, I wanted to be the jaded one and just be wrong about it, and seem like the bad guy, because as a streamer, I'm willing to like have some people be mad at me, but I don't know. It affected my friends a lot. So that's where it hurts, versus like it affecting me, whatever. It affecting my friends. That's when we're kind of like enter bitch mode as streamers.
I think that's what I was just saying too, about how like when you can take on so much yourself, but this is your space and mine's my space, like my space. But and I'm the buck stops at me, which is a really cringy term, but it stops at me.
Right.
And so if I'm allowing this to happen, like I'm responsible, and I even if I'm the one that's against it and I'm trying to say, oh, let's stop this, it's still me that facilitated this space. And I think to talk about that specific issue, for me, one of my younger mods started getting roped in. I think that's when I wanted to, because I think a lot of the people who were handling it, because I'm friends with your mods too, and I was like, well, they're adults, you know what I mean? They're adults. They can handle themselves. And then it's like, oh no, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, because we vary from like actual people that are older than me to people that
But at the same time, that shouldn't really matter. We should still protect our friends.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think that was just kind of like
right?
And that was kind of like and we're less. I was less defensive of them than I was on someone who's younger, who is probably more impressionable. But it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, if someone's lying and stringing people along for attention, and it's hurting people, it doesn't matter how old you are, that needs to stop.
Yep. Everyone is what's the word, gullible in a sense. There's certain things that will make you more gullible too, especially if, like, there's certain triggers for you that you're willing to be like, oh honey, and like willing to listen because of that triggering.
And people can smart people can like pick up on that. Not that I think we've had that, because I think all the people we've had lying are teenagers, but
young, just willing to seek attention.
But there are definitely manipulative people that could older people that could definitely prey on that. But I do like what you said, like I forget exactly what I was about to say, but you, after this whole incident, you kind of told your mod team that it's okay that they got like strung along or tricked, because like you're glad that they have those open hearts and they want to help people. And I think that was something good to say, and I'm glad you said that, because
it's important to understand that like just because someone was willing to take advantage of your open heart doesn't mean that you should close it off to everybody else.
Exactly.
People are beautiful for being able to be so trusting, especially in this day and age, where everyone lies. So it's bad because like, you know, people are willing to take advantage of that trusting, but it's also like a beautiful thing because it's not innocence, it's care, and we need that.
And those are the people that we need, and I love those kind of people. And so
exactly.
and I'm one of those type of people, and so but I think if it wasn't the fact that I was a streamer, and maybe even for you, I don't know, I think you're probably more jaded than I am, but
I'm probably
I do take a responsibility of the space. And so even though, of course, if it was just me by myself, I probably would get more strung along into this, but because I feel responsible, I try to be more jaded isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. I try to be more cognizant of everybody
cognizant,
else.
Yeah, it's a good word.
I mean, is there anything else, because like we are kind of wrapping up on time? Is there anything else you wanted to talk about on these topics before we move on to like wrapping up? I mean, I think we kind of talked about, I feel like trauma dumping is kind of a bad thing, but it's nuanced. Some good things that we've been able to do. Obviously, the ugly is some of the lying and manipulation that's gone on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there are subjects that we're going to touch on in the future that probably will be more easier to go in depth about, like people. What's the right word for it? But like people that are willing to take advantage of mental health streams and like try and continue to manipulate. Like I think that's going to be a bigger subject in the future. But for the listeners out there that are that want to answer this question, how do you feel about when somebody comes into a chat and posts either trauma or negative thoughts, even in the sense of just, I'm not feeling good today? How do you feel about that? Do you think that should stay off Twitch, off of YouTube or something? Or do you think that should be more so, or do you think streamers should be more inclined to be accepting of those comments?
We made an email for answers, or you can answer in the YouTube comments. The email address is cheeksandgeekspod@gmail.com, and it will be spelled out in the YouTube description.
Think that's a good way to ask that question?
Yeah. Or like, do you mind? Because I think it's okay if some streamers aren't, but it's more as a viewer, does it bother you?
Yeah, does it bother you? Yes.
Is probably a better way, because I don't think it's in the viewer's place to really say what a streamer should and shouldn't do, because they can just choose which streams to watch.
Yep.
But more, do you get bothered in chat when you see that kind of stuff? And it doesn't have to be brand new viewers. I mean, there's people who are around that
I just meant when anybody comes in a chat.
Yeah.
Specifically brand new.
I just wanted to make sure. I just want to make sure to specify that. Sorry, I know I just made the question very long-winded.
It's okay. We'll get better at the questions. We'll get better.
Just wanted to make sure people know how we define trauma.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they listen to the podcast, right?
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. People know. But just that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just messing with you. Me and Jesse both stream on Twitch, and we both have a YouTube, but Jesse doesn't post on it much right now. But she was talking about a video that she's coming out with, so keep an eye out for that. You can follow her at twitch.tv/JessieMama. I actually don't know YouTube though.
I don't know. It's probably just like a bunch of random codes and numbers. We won't worry about it yet.
Okay, Jesse, you really want me to make the TDS bot say this? Alright, here goes. https://www.youtube.com/channel/ucrjuk9r8p9ryu0yqw.
And you can follow me at twitch.tv/RPG_Draco. And then same thing with YouTube. It should be RPG_Draco.
No, Draco, it's actually https://www.youtube.com/channel/uczuvb1ugn6b8x9dsvq.
Thanks for listening to the Cheeks and Geek podcast. Yes. I love the name still.
I like how Melody made our Discord group though the Rawcast. That's the secret name.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
I literally told I told Melody, I was like, oh, I hate that name. And Melody was like, just leans more into it because I said I hate it, and I'm like,
honestly,
yeah, it's kind of expected.
Like, raw emotions, you know, we're raw. We're very.
We are very raw, yeah.
We're raw, so I mean.
It's not wrong
because of the memes.
Yeah, the memes, yeah.
It's Sophia's fault. I'm name dropping.
Yeah. Can't believe you're Sophia.
But yeah, this was fun. And we ended right on time. Oh my gosh, look at us. I think I was only like 2 minutes late or something.